afternoon again. We are now done with the executive session for the December 14th, 2023 meeting. I'm going to have, starting with Commissioner Romano, read the order from the executive
Does she have to take
session.
roll again?
Oh.
Okay, all right, never mind. Sorry.
In Ray Robert Long, case number C 23-003, public report and final order of dismissal. Complainant Christopher Davey filed the above referenced complaint alleging that respondent Robert Long used his position on the City of Delray Beach Planning and Zoning Board to bring about a special financial benefit to a prohibited entity in violation of Section 2-443, subsection A, misuse of public office or employment, and/or Section 2-443, subsection B, corrupt misuse of official position, and/or Section 2-443, subsection C, disclosure of voting conflicts of the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. Pursuant to Section 2-258, subsection A of the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics Ordinance, the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics is empowered to enforce the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. On December 14th, 2023, the Commission conducted a probable cause hearing and reviewed the report of investigation and the probable cause recommendations submitted by the COE staff. After an oral statement by the advocate, the Commission concluded that probable cause does not exist because there was no evidence that respondent took any action that violated the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. Therefore, it is ordered and adjudged that the complaint against respondent Robert Long is hereby dismissed, done and ordered by the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics in public session on December 14, 2023, signed Kristen A. Vera Garcia, Vice Chair.
Thank you. I will have Commissioner Cruz read the order for C-23010.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In Ray Robert Shore, public report finding probable cause. Christy Kelly, Executive Director of the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics, filed the above referenced complaint against respondent Robert Shore, former mayor of the town of Loxahatchee Groves. In counts 1 and 2, the complaint alleges that respondent used his official position or office or any property or resource which may have been within his trust to corruptly secure or attempt to secure a special privilege, benefit, or exemption for himself or others in violation of Section 2-443, subsection B, corrupt misuse of official position of the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. Pursuant to Section 2-258, subsection A of the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics Ordinance, the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics is empowered to enforce the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. On December 14th, the Commission conducted a probable cause hearing and reviewed the report of investigation, the probable cause recommendations submitted by the advocate, and the response to the advocate's recommendations submitted by the respondent. After an oral statement by the advocate and respondent's attorney, the Commission determined that probable cause exists to believe that the respondent may have violated Section 2-443, subsection B of the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. Therefore, it is ordered and adjudged that probable cause exists and the complaint against respondent Robert Shore will be set for a final hearing within 120 days to be coordinated between the parties. Done and ordered by the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics in public session on December 14th, 2023 by Kristen Vara Garcia, Vice Chair.
Thank you. I'm reading the final order for case number C-23-006, in Ray Robert Shore, public order and final order of dismissal. Christy Kelly, Executive Director of Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics, filed the above referenced complaint against respondent Robert Shore, former mayor of the town of Loxahatchee Groves. In count 1, the complaint alleges that the respondent used or attempted to use his official position or office in a manner that may have resulted in a special financial benefit to a prohibited entity in violation of Section 2-443, subsection A of the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics, misuse of public office or employment. In count 2, the complaint alleges respondent violated Section 2-443, subsection C of the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics, disclosure of voting conflicts, by voting on a or participating in matters that may have resulted in a special financial benefit to a prohibited entity. Pursuant to Section 2-258, subsection A of the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics Ordinance, the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics is empowered to enforce the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. On December 14th, 2023, the Commission conducted a probable cause hearing and reviewed the report of the investigation, the probable cause recommendation submitted by the advocate, and the response to the advocate's recommendation submitted by the respondent. After an oral statement by the advocate and respondent's attorney, the Commission determined that pursuant to Section 2-260.3 of the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics Ordinance, public interest would not be served by proceeding further and dismiss this complaint. Therefore, it is ordered and adjudged that the complaint against the respondent, Robert Shore, is hereby dismissed. Done and ordered by the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics in a public session December 14th, 2023, by myself, Kristen A. Varga-Garcia, as Vice Chair. Mr. Kugler?
Okay. In re Keith James, case C-23-010. Public report and final order of dismissal. Complainant Rodney Mayo filed the above referenced complaint alleging that respondent Keith James, mayor of West Palm Beach, engaged in retaliatory behavior directed at complainant and/or his businesses in violation of Section 2443A, misuse of public office or employment, or Section 2443B, corrupt misuse of official position of the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. Pursuant to Section 2-258A of the Palm Beach County Commission and Ethics Ordinance, the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics is empowered to enforce the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. On December 14, 2023, the Commission conducted a probable cause hearing. After reviewing the report of investigation and the probable cause recommendation and listening to statements by the advocate and respondent, the Commission concluded that probable cause does not exist because there is no evidence that respondent took any action that violated the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics. Therefore, it is ordered and adjudged that the complaint against respondent Keith James is hereby dismissed, done and ordered by the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics in public session on December 14, 2023, by Kristen A. Varga-Garcia, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Kreidel. I will now turn to Executive Director Kelly for comments.
Thank you. I wanted to let you know that our community bulletin PSAs have begun airing on Channel 20. So I would like to thank Channel 20 for working with Education and Communications Manager Liz Martin to create and run these. I know that they run at noon, 5, and 11. And I believe they also are around 8 a.m. as well, that you can find them on Channel 20 if you tune in. Since our last meeting, Ms. Martin has represented the Commission on Ethics at the Junior Achievement Career Fair at Green Acres Elementary. In addition, she and Commissioner Cruz presented to the West Palm Beach Rotary Club. And then she and Intake and Compliance Manager Levesque attended the Mangonia Park Mayor's Luncheon. And then finally, I just wanted to remind you that our next meeting won't be until the second week of January, so it'll be January 11th. And then since it'll be the new year, I just want to go ahead and wish you all a happy and healthy 2024.
Thank you. We will now move to commission comments.
So this is that time of year when I start thinking about things that I don't think as much about the other times of the year. And I just wanted to say on the record how proud I am to be part of this commission and of Christy and her entire staff. I've noticed over the years that it seems like some of the complaints that we get are obvious political hit jobs. And it would be easy to become jaded and shortcut those complaints, but staff, our investigative staff, always treats each one as a standalone case, does a thorough and complete job. And hats off to you for not becoming jaded and just starting to treat those as routine. And I'd like to join Christy in wishing you all a happy holiday and a happy new year.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
Commissioner Cruz.
thank you. I agree with Commissioner Romano's remarks about the staff. I just want to also thank Education and Communications Manager Liz Martin for getting up at a very early hour this last week to go to breakfast with the, it's actually the Palm Beach Rotary Club, which meets in West Palm Beach, which too long to go into why that is. But when we actually got into the meeting, and I'm sure my fellow commissioners, when you were asked, well, I'm an ethics commissioner, and people said, we have an ethics commission? That frustrates me. This is starting my 7th year, and people still asked when we walked in that morning, we have an ethics commission? Yes. So we fought, starting with Mark Bannon's time and continuing and successfully through Christy Kelly's time to get Liz here. And it took a long time, and she's here. And so I would urge my fellow commissioners, if you get asked about this, say yes, and we have somebody who'll be able to come and talk to you all about what it is and what it's all about. So again, thank you.
Commissioner Crydell?
Well, I'm the president of a Rotary Club, and I've had Mr. Carey come down and speak, and I had Mr. Bannon come down and speak, and I'm there every week, and they still don't know that there's an ethics commission. So it's just one of those things, Peter. Happy holidays to everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you. I too want to wish everyone a very happy holiday, and I just want to say I'm very grateful to work with this group. It's been a really good group since I've been here, and I think the work that everyone here is doing is commendable. So with that, if there are no public comments, this meeting is adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone.